this week, me and Cone can agree that we enjoyed this chapter. We both agree we're on equal standing on this one. We understand each other that we enjoyed this chapter. It had suspense, it had intensity, and all around it was just a really good chapter. We agree. Sometimes we might go at it. I got choked him a couple times, but we agree on this one. No, in all seriousness, folks. First of all, this chapter had a lot of different things. It showed more revelation, so to speak, about a lot of situations that we were unclear of, and we just really got a lot more depth to things than that ending that was freaking epic. But we'll get to that in a bit. So I want to start off with. So basically, we learned that Masaki Kurosaki automatically, she was brought into the Ishida family as basically, I guess you would say, you know, basically a tool to carry on the bloodline of the Quincy. And the thing about it is, at first when I read the chapter, I really didn't think much of it at the time. But then I looked at it closely, and it's like, Ryuk is really just a messed up guy. He's like, when he's talking about love and everything, and it caught my eye that like he doesn't even really care about like a relationship or anything. He at this particular point in the story is already obsessed with, or I don't want to say obsessed, but he is definitely like dead set on protecting the Quincy bloodline. That's all that matters to him. And I like how Kubo added in that whole little thing of this is classic, and I've seen it in many different anime and different stories, Japanese stories, where the mother-in-law is like really angry and mean, and just really distasteful to the daughter-in-law, well, soon-to-be daughter-in-law. And I like that Kubo adds that realism in there. I thought that was a nice little touch to make the situation even more intense. And I feel bad because you could clearly see, or well, it's not that clear, but there's a really dark panel. You see Masaki, like she's putting up a front, and her true feelings is that she's depressed about it. I don't even think she wants it. She probably just wanted a place to stay, and when she realized the situation, it's not what she wanted. She's probably one of those people that she want to fall naturally in love. Which one mini little thing I want to throw in there. I don't really like to bring in realism into my reviews and whatnot, but I just wanted to get people's take on this whole arranged marriage thing. Now, obviously, Ryuk isn't in it for the love. He wants her to be happy, but just as a tool to keep the bloodline going, the Quincy bloodline. So what do you guys think about arranged marriages? I never really like to get into it, and if that's how your family lives, or that's the way you believe, that's perfectly fine. But my take on it is, if both parties at the very least isn't introduced, and they don't get to know each other before the marriage, and they don't both like have some sort of feeling for each other, I feel like I'm kind of against it. I feel like they at least should get to know each other before the arranged marriage goes, and they should at least like have somewhat of a liking to each other. And if not, then I don't think it should be done. But that's just my opinion. I feel as though when you're gonna arrange something, have both parties happy. Let them meet, let them get to know each other, and let them maybe try to form some sort of liking to each other before we even you even cross that path. But what are your guys' take on that? But I'm getting sidetracked. So we basically learned a big thing about Masaki, because I had previously thought maybe that she was his sister. I wasn't clear, and I think that this makes the relationship a little more interesting than just that was the sister or something like that. And it also shows that down the line, this is where Ryuk and Ishin are going to have, I don't know how it'll get to a friendship, because at this particular point, you could kind of see that Ryuk really just wants to use her to continue the bloodline. So it's not really necessarily that he really cares for her. Well, from the naked eye anyway. We don't know if maybe he's bullshitting and he really does want some love at some given point. But so I don't know how it'll get to a friendship level with him being obsessed with wanting to, like, he wants her to basically bear his children and keep going. And Ishin at some given point probably fall in love with her, which we don't know how that's going to happen yet. But I'm interested to see where that develops, because it's really hard to predict how they're going to, unless Ryuk really just feels bad about it and, maybe throws himself in front of, like, a beast or something to protect her because he feels bad. I don't know, but I'm interested to see how that goes down. Now, the parts with Ishin, I want to say one thing. I wasn't a big fan of the beginning with the comedy, the toilet stuff. I wasn't really too big of a fan of that. I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't like it. I thought that it was a little bit too silly to come into this amazing chapter, because later on this chapter it goes from like, what are you talking about, a toilet? Ishin, really? What are you talking about, a toilet? To holy shit. So, I don't really care for the beginning. The beginning, meh. But when we see that ending with Vasto Lorde form Ichigo, well, that's not Ichigo, obviously. That's just a Vasto Lorde hollow. That's the form that he took when he fought Ukiura. When we see that form, it really starts to make me think. It makes me feel like, holy shit. If Aizen is behind us, remember, I always remember that quote, I knew about you since before you were born. I planned all this since before you were born. I could see that possibly being maybe used to hollowify Ichigo's soul. Maybe Ichigo's soul comes from that. Maybe Ishin, somewhere in Ishin's soul, the hollow eventually gets morphed into him. Something along the lines of that. That is going to be either the springboard, or that is going to be the actual Ichigo soul right there. And that's where the hollow comes in and everything, and I can definitely see where this is going with Aizen, and this is just really amazing. I love the suspense in this chapter. I'm right now at the edge of my seat. How is this all gonna, keep going and everything? Because we know where it leads to, obviously. Ichigo being born, Masaki Kurosaki dying at that piece of shit Grand Fisher. So we know where it's leading to, which, by the way, we still don't even know if that's true. You never know what Kubo could throw at us. Maybe she's still alive. I'm just saying. you know. But I'm really liking where this is going. I thought that was a nice touch. What do you think, though? Is the Vasto Lord looking hollow basically gonna be the springboard to Ichigo's soul? Is that Ichigo's soul right now, and maybe somehow Masaki will purify it in some sort of way to where it'll basically go within her? Maybe Ishin, after Ishin and her shortly, have a little bit of a, rock in it, that'll take precedence inside of Ichigo's body and his soul. I don't know, but I'm really excited to see where this is gonna go. My rating for this chapter, 4.5 out of 5. The 0.5 gets taken off because of the beginning. I felt like it was a little goofy to something that's gonna be, became really amazing. So wasn't a big fan of that, and the joke just didn't really make me laugh. So there's that with that. Let me know what you think, though. Ryuk's obsession with basically going ahead with the Quincy bloodline and making it keep going. I wish we would have got a little bit more prior to what led up to these events of his obsession. Obviously, because the whole Quincy extinction and whatnot. But what are your whole take on that? What's your take on arranged marriages? I know that's not really a big issue in this one, but I was just curious because I found it an interesting and touchy subject. And I like that Kubo added in that little dynamic to twist up the relationship and make it a little more complicated than the normal. And how do you think this whole thing with this Vasto Lord Hollow is going to go? Is it going to purify? Is it going to go inside of Ichigo's body as a baby? How do you think is that going to go? Either way, I'm excited to see Ishin go up against him, because at that particular point, was Ichigo really what was his power like when he fought Ukiura in that Vasto Lord? I mean, he ripped Ukiura to shreds at that point. So I'd imagine Ishin's going to have a really tough time. Can he even take him? I'm not sure, because we don't know Ishin's power at this particular point. But I'd imagine it's strong enough. If this is the breaking point, which, by the way, this could be the point where she gets thrown out of the Quincy, he gets thrown out of Soul Society, or they both abandon it altogether. But if he, remember, he knew about the final Getsuga Tensho, so if this is the breaking point right here, then he might be able to use that power. He might use it against his Hollow. That's another prediction. This might be the point where he uses final Getsuga Tensho to stop him from killing Masaki Kurosaki, and he loses his powers. She runs away from the Quincy. Ichigo was born. But that's all I have for this review. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Thumbs up if you can't wait to see where this is going, because Bleach been on a roll. Almost every week it's been having, at the very least, something really interesting or exciting, and I'm loving it. ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day.